Hi there everybody and welcome back to the Blossom Crochet channel. In this really simple and quick tutorial I will be showing you how to make this lovely stitch. So this is a mixture of just normal stitches and then some offset stitches which create these lovely lines that add that little bit of detail. We've also got some post stitches in there to give it a little bit of texture. Now surprisingly, this is only a one row repeat, but I think it looks way more complicated than a one row repeat, but it is. It's just one row repeated over and over again until your project is the size that you want it to be. But I think it's a really nice twist on something that's quite simple. So you can use absolutely any yarn that you like and then just use whatever hook size your selected yarn recommends. And obviously this stitch is great for big baby blankets or even just huge blankets, but it will also work really nicely for a scarf as well. So you'll start with your slip knot on your hook and then you want to do your foundation chain in a multiple of 11. So you'll do groups of 11 stitches until you get to the width that you want your project to be. So yarn over, pull through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if you just do your group of 11 stitches and then meet me once you've done that. I apologise in advance for having slightly more jazzy nails than normal. Normally I have plain nails, but I've got an event that I wanted to jazz up for this weekend. Anyway, so once you've completed your multiples of 11, you're going to add an additional 7 chains. So whatever number you've got now, add 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we're now going to work back along and we're going to be using UK trebles or US doubles for almost the entirety of the project. So you're going to start in the 4th chain from your hook. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and then this is our 4th here. So you'll yarn over, insert into that 4th chain, yarn over and pull up, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 1. And those skipped chains count as our first treble. So technically now we've got 2 trebles. And then you want to put a treble into the next chain. So now we've got 3 trebles. 1 into the next. So that's 4 trebles and 1 more into the next chain. So you've got a group of 5 trebles there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At this point you want to skip 2 chains, so we're going to skip 1 and 2, and into this 3rd chain you're going to do 5 trebles and they're all going to be worked into the same chain. Okay, so skip 2 and then 5 trebles all together into that chain. 3, 4, and 5. So they've all been worked into the same chain. You're going to chain 2 and then you're going to skip 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th you'll start your trebles again. So you'll do 1 treble into the next 5 chains. So that's 1, and then you'll do 2, 3, 4, and 5. Three, 4, and 5. So you'll have your trebles where they're worked individually into each chain, and then you'll have a group that are all worked into the same chain, and then again you'll have them individually 5 into these 5 chains. And then again you're going to skip 2 and then you'll do 5 trebles all together into that next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and and 5, and then again chain 2, skip 3 this time, 1, 2, 3, and then start your 5 individual trebles. And you'll repeat that process all the way to the end of your foundation chain. So once you get to the end of your foundation chain, you should be working your 5 trebles into each of those last 5 chains. If you find that you've not got the right amount of chains left, it could be that you've mixed up where you've done your skip 2 and then skip 3. You might have switched them up and only skip 2 after, or you might have skipped 3. So just go back along and check that you've done skipping 2 and then after your group skipping 3. And like I say, you should be finishing on those 5 trebles. At this point we're going to turn our work around and then straight into the top of this very first stitch. So straight into this stitch here, you'll insert your hook, go through the whole of the stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you'll go behind the left vertical post of that stitch like so, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, and that just gives you a treble height stitch but without the gapping that you would get with a chain. So we've worked into the top of that first treble, and you're then going to put 1 treble into the top of the next 4 stitches. So you're just going to be working 5 trebles onto the top of those 5 individual trebles from the row below. That's 3, 4, and into the top of that 5th. Okay, so now we're at our group of trebles that were all worked into that same stitch. And this very first treble of that group, we're going to work a front post treble crochet. So you'll yarn over and you'll go behind the back of that treble and out the other side. Okay, make sure you don't sort of hook below the top of the stitch like that, where you'll miss this post. You want to make sure you go around the whole of that treble, and then you'll yarn over and pull up. And then again, you'll have your 3 loops so you can complete your treble as normal. Okay, so we've worked a front post treble around that first treble. And then we're going to work our 4 trebles into the space between the first and second treble. So you'll work your front post treble around the stitch, and then the following 4 trebles will be worked into the space after. So into that space between your first and second trebles, you'll be doing 4 trebles. So you've still got a group of 5, but just the first one is worked as a post stitch, just to add a bit of texture. So I've got my front post, which is 1, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5 worked into the space. You then chain 2, as before, and you'll skip the rest of those trebles in that group, and you will work into the top of that first treble of your individual 5. So you'll skip 4 and then into the top of this first treble. So you can see the top here. The top always sits leaning slightly left. So yarn over into the top of that treble, and you'll work now your 5 trebles. So 1 treble into the top of each of these next 5 stitches. 4 and 5. And then again, we're at our group of stitches, so we're going to work a front post treble around this first stitch. So yarn over and around the back of that stitch and out the other side, yarn over and pull up and complete your treble as normal. And then the remaining 4 trebles of this group will be worked into this space in between your first and second trebles. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's still a group of 5, as I say, but the first one is a post stitch. And then again, chain 2, skip those next 4 trebles, and you'll be working into the top of that first treble from your groups of 5. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. So you'll repeat that all the way to the end, but you can see I'm at the end now and I'm working my final 5 trebles. So that very last 5th treble will be into the top of those skipped chains from the beginning of our foundation row. So that is how you should be looking. It's hard to pick up the texture, but again, that is the row that you'll repeat, but I'm going to repeat it with you now anyway, just to firm up those starting and last stitches. So you will turn at the end of each row and you'll insert your hook straight into the top of that first stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then behind the left post, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both. And then you'll work 1 treble into the top of the next 4 stitches as well. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that's worked into the top of those first 5 stitches. So now we're going to be working a front post treble around the first treble of our little group of stitches. So yarn over, go behind that first treble and out the other side and complete your treble. And then the remaining 4 will go in the space between your first and second treble. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. You'll chain 2, never forget to do your chain 2, and then you'll skip the rest of these stitches. So you'll skip the next 4 trebles. The final stitch will be a little more difficult to see because it's the actual front post treble that we did in the last round, but you'll skip those trebles and then you'll work 1 treble into the top of these next 5 trebles. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and your 5th and final. And then again we're on our group of stitches, so you'll work your front post treble around this first one, and then the remaining 4 of this group go into that space. And again you'll repeat this process all the way to the end of your row. So like I say, always remember to do that chain 2 and then skip the next 4 stitches and then start again in your 5 individuals. So you'll always be finishing with the 5 trebles on their own. So I've done my 4 and then obviously my last one just gets worked into this very final stitch. If you're not confident about keeping your edges straight, then each time that you start your new row, just pop a stitch marker into the top of that little stitch that we do at the beginning of each row, and then when you come to the end you'll know exactly where you're working that final stitch. So that is the 1 row repeat, and you'll do it over and over again until you have something that starts to build up to look like this. And I think it's a really simple one and pretty mindless as well. Now I think the top of this actually does stay quite flat. You get a slight bump, but I don't really think it's worth adding special stitches or anything to square it off at the top, if that makes sense. I would just do a round of double crochet on their own and then build it up. Obviously if you wanted to try and flatten it off a little bit, because there is a slight bump, then I would just do double crochets, so UK doubles into the taller stitches and then half doubles into the ones that sink down. But I genuinely don't think it would necessarily be needed on this particular stitch, because you can see it's not that big of a difference in the height of these stitches. So I would probably just crack on with a double crochet border, to be honest, but preference is yours. Well, that is it for this tutorial. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please do remember to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. But I will see you for another tutorial really soon. But thank you as always for watching, and bye for now.